Here we are.
So the question I had for Marcus, honestly, just for me, and I think people around my age, is what advice do you have for someone in their, I'd say, early 20s that they should, as a man, what advice do you have for a young adult that should be working on themselves to become a better man? So by the time they're, let's say, late 20s, looking to get married, getting a full-time job, getting the house, all that, what is that jump looking like for someone in their young 20s that's ending college, getting into the real world for the first time? And what advice do you have for those people making that jump? Because I know that transition, to hear about it's a big jump, going from just being a college student to all these responsibilities. So I'd say, what advice do you have for like college kids that are graduating and getting into the real world and trying to, you know, be a man and provide, I guess you could say?
That's a great question that he hit me with. Great question. So the first things first, something we don't really talk about is looking at career jobs. There's nothing wrong with being a doctor, firefighter, police officer, probation officer, right? I also work full-time for probation. Great job, right? My dad got me into it. I think a lot of people got to start looking at, you know, county, state jobs. I would say state first if I could go back. There's nothing wrong with being a firefighter. I think they only work 9 days out of the month, and everything else is overtime from there. So, you know, kind of finding that lane. And, you know, if you have family members in a certain lane, like my dad was a police officer, he got me in probation. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you know, what God has kind of put you in. I didn't think I would be a probation officer at all. And I love the job. I love people I work with. We're not perfect. We all have things we need to work on, but I would say, you know, for those young guys out there, you know, start looking at those careers when you're in college. Start looking at those, get those internships. You know, we don't take that seriously for some reason. I didn't, at least. I was like, internship, I'm not doing that, but that actually helps you get some insight on stuff. I wish I would have did that to become a firefighter. I would think I would like to do something like that if I can go back in time. So I would tell all the young guys, you know, look into, young guys and young ladies, look into internships so you can kind of get a feel. Just go on, you know, Sac County, go to Sac State jobs, whatever, and just start doing your research and see if you qualify for those. And, you know, see if you want to become a nurse, see how you could do it the fastest way or the best way. If you want to become a firefighter, see that academy, how that looks like. You want to become a police officer, you know, start looking into those. And, you know, there's other jobs that I'm not naming that, you know, there's nothing wrong. Look into owning your own business, you know. Shoot, get an LLC, get a nonprofit, whatever the case may be. Just everybody has to do their research, and we have everything in front of us. Social media, the iPhone, you could just ask a question and Siri gonna tell you the answer 9 times out of 10. We got chat TDP? What is it?
GBT.
Yeah, I use that all the time, right? That is listen, don't tell nobody, but I use that all the time. We have everything in front of us. And if you're struggling, Uber driver, why not? DoorDash, why not? Have those help. Like, there's so many jobs you can do, right? There's so many things. You just got to go out there and kind of just go for it. And you could do whatever, I mean, it sounds cliche, like everybody says that, but you can do anything you want to. You just got to put your mind to it and stay on the grind. That's what I do. Stay on the grind. This is a grind life. Because the thing about it, too, we were just talking about this. You know, I said, I feel like players need to have a plan B, and then they go, well, if you take, that's going to take away your plan A. They're right. Absolutely. But guess what? Not everybody going to the NBA. Not everybody going overseas. Not everybody going to play D1. So at that time, like, it's okay to start thinking like, okay, when this doesn't happen, I'm going to do this. Like, one thing I think, you know, that hurts, you know, being a Kobe Bryant fan is, you know, his plan B was coming. We were all seeing it, right? Coaching his daughter, coming out with these little cartoon shows, doing the details of basketball. Like, you seen his next stage of life coming, and he figured it out. And I think a lot of players got to figure it out. Their next stage. What is that? What does that look like? How do you do that, right? Basketball is, you know, if you play basketball, baseball, football, soccer, that all is going to come to an end because we're getting older, right? And you might need some new hobbies too. You might need to go golf. You might need to go play some pickleball, right? Because we're not going to be able to hoop for all life. Our legs and all that is not going to be everything. So just whatever you do, put your mind to it, have a plan B, get prepared for that plan B. And I like what my boy Ryan said. Well, he didn't say plan B, he said pivot, right? Everybody get ready to pivot on everybody, right? Use that triple threat to the fullest. Jab, shot fake, all of that. So That's all, man. Just get ready to pivot. And if you guys don't know, Jalen Wells is starting Sleep Nation. That's something that's coming. Got all these trainers working together. I think that's a great thing for the community. And also ask questions too. Ask questions to these trainers and these mentors around. Ask those questions. That's another thing. Ask questions and don't be afraid to ask those questions. So that's all I got. And you guys already know, strive of others. And most of y'all can't guard me. You know, especially him right there. He can't guard me.
Just the camera, dude, bro.